Today's guest is someone I have known for over 21 years. I can't believe it. And someone whose story every founder needs to hear. You gotta hear the story of Adam Newman, the co-founder of Monkey Bar Storage, a garage organization company. It was originally called Gorgeous Garage. It grew from a simple shelving system his father invented in a two-car garage into a dealer network of over 120 locations nationwide. Through the 2008 housing crash, a franchise fraud scandal, and years of barely paying themselves, Adam and his family kept building and kept winning. By the time they sold, the company had reached over $30 million in annual revenue and delivered an 8-figure exit. Adam Newman is a dear friend of mine, like a brother, and I can't wait for you to get to know him. Let's get into the show.
Startups with Stu is a podcast for anyone living or wanting to live the startup life, either as a founder or a team member. Your host, Stuart Draper, was a 9-time Inc. 5000 honoree before age 40. This show dives deep into the exhilarating world of entrepreneurship with guests that are seeking advice from Stu for their startup or business owners that want to share their entrepreneurial journey. Listeners always walk away with actionable ideas of what to do to take their startup to the moon. Startup life can feel like a roller coaster ride, and with Startups with Stu, you're likely to turn your roller coaster ride into a rocket ship ride. Get ready to uncover the secrets to startup success from visionary founders and savvy investors who've transformed groundbreaking ideas into thriving ventures.
Welcome to another episode of Startups with Stu. This time we are again back at the Island Park Draper House Lake House, having some fun in Idaho, right by Yellowstone National Park. We went snowmobiling today, had a ton of fun, and did everyone have fun?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. A lot of fun. We had only one snowmobile get totaled. We had only one guy get really lost. A few guys, including myself, get stuck, and you know, it was cool to see how well you all rolled with it. No one got complaining about, man, we're just stuck up here, Stu. Like, why didn't you plan this better? Should have had, you know, and you all know there's no such thing as a perfect plan. We don't have a crystal ball. We just go and try our best, right? And so thank you for putting up with some of the hassles we ended up dealing with today, but we got through it, and everyone's still happily hanging out. Fun to see you all visiting at dinner. These retreats I try to build as something that builds everyone, and I feel built every time I get to sit down with great folks like Adam Newman, like a brother to me. And so Adam Newman founded a company. Well, his dad was the founder of a company called Gorgeous Garage. He and another partner came together and they built that thing into a real behemoth, a real success story in Idaho, founder life, turned it in, rebranded from Gorgeous Garage as Monkey Bar Storage. And I'm going to let him tell the rest of the story. So Adam, let's hear it. Like, give us some of the background on the business.
Just like Stu, I also have leaky eye, and that comes out sometimes with things that I'm very passionate about. So hopefully it doesn't come out because I don't want it to be. I'll be very vulnerable, obviously. But you just want to start how it started, kind of.
Leaky eye comes from big heart. I've talked about it, confessed about my problem with it before. Adam has a massive heart. So if it does come out, like, don't be apologizing. We just love that that's who you are.
Well, he'll definitely project a lot more than I will. I'm more quiet, reserved, and listen. But yeah, and I appreciate you having me here and get to talk to all of you about.
Before you get into like the story stuff, tell them about how we met and what we did together.
Okay, so Stu and I met about 21 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long friendship.
We were both very poor. We were fairly newlyweds, and I think had our sons on the way, but they hadn't come out yet, right? Remember? And we both served in a ward, and we were basically called into a young men's group to help young men in Boy Scouts and stuff. And so I got to work with Stu, and he got to work with me, and we got to go on crazy campouts, really cold campouts. My coldest campout ever was Stu. Anyway, had a great time caring and trying to teach these young men, and we didn't have very many, probably 7 or 8. But the thing I loved most about Stu was, and all of us, there was a couple other guys too. We really cared about these young men, and we wanted the best for them, and a lot of them they turned out great, and I still in contact with a lot of them. So that's where I met Stu. We've been friends ever since. Our wives were friends. And if you've ever had a chance to meet Stu's wife, Lindsay, amazing woman. And I know Stu talks highly of his wife, and she is a sweetheart, amazing woman. So hopefully one day you get to meet her as well. But so anyway, we were in this young men's group, and we've just stayed in touch ever since. For a brief period, we were business partners, and he kicked me out.
I was like, get out of here. That's not how it went down.
No, and I won't go into details on that, but we started Get Found first because, and I feel bad, we were both, he doesn't know this too, but we were both in organizations that were struggling, and mine was Gorgeous Garage, which is the company I'll talk about. He was part of it was Yellowstone Hotel
Systems,
and he was one of their best sales guy, maybe their best sales guy, and I could tell, and I had to get little things about this company. We're in the same building. It was an incubator type business building, and so I'd see Stu go up the stairs that I'd go up, and anyway, I could tell their organization was struggling. We'd hear things because we had common investors. He talks about a guy named Corey Smith. I also knew Corey Smith. He also invested in my business. Wonderful guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him, I highly recommend it. He can help you out a lot. Anyway, Stu had lost his job there. The business didn't make it, and he was struggling, looking for stuff. At the same time, he didn't realize the business I had with my dad and a college roommate, we didn't think we'd make it either. There were months we couldn't pay each other, and it's not like you go around like, hey, this month I never got paid, everybody. I have a business and I'm working like 20 hours a week or 20 hours a day and nothing to show for it anyway. And that's hard too when you're newly married, and she's like, you have a business but it doesn't pay you, like, yeah.
What are you doing?
But I love it, and it's gonna go anyway. So anyway, Stu and I at that same time were both looking into PPC and SEO for websites. He was doing it for a brother-in-law, right, who's a dentist in Portland.
Yeah, Salem.
Or Salem, yeah. And I was doing it for the garage business, but I was also taking some courses from some local guys, because I just wanted to learn more as much as I can. And this is 2007 or 8, right?
Yeah,
December of 08.
2008. Yeah, end of 2008.
Yeah. So anyway,
the market had just crashed.
Yeah, housing market had crashed. So if you're in the space of anything to do with homes, good luck. So anyway, I was looking for stuff to do. He was kind of looking for stuff to do, and we came together with, hey, let's help small businesses get the first page of Google. He was the one that came up with the name, and once he told it to me, I said, yeah, let's get it. That's an awesome name. So anyway,
so getfoundfirst.com was born. We had a baby together. But Adam was a key instrument in talking me into not just going and finding another job, but choosing to go for it and start Get Found First. I figured if a guy as smart as Adam thought it was worth it and a good idea, I should go for it.
And I had nothing to lose either, so I'm like, yeah, let's start another business because mine's about done too. He didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Anyway, so anyway, we connected. We started this thing. We were together for about 8 or 9 months, and I had to leave for some other things. But I was proud that he got another partner in and grew it, and eventually was able to sell and walk away from that and look at some other stuff that he was doing. But we always stayed in contact. I valued his opinion and what he taught me, and I think it was vice versa. So anyway, from that point on, we always were talking, sharing ideas, what we were doing. And I have to admit, when he had the stew can idea, I was one he went to, told me the idea. I thought it was a great idea because he was also adjunct, so he was sharing things that he was learning that, hey, these teachers don't have this, these tools, and I think I can do this. My biggest thing with him is I said, well, don't start, because at the time he worked for a large company, and he had a bonus, and he was telling me, I just got to stay on another 4 months, and I don't pay that bonus. But I'm like, well, then stay on 4 months and keep the bonus. And he was like, no, Adam, I got to start this now. I can't wait. And I'm glad he did, because I was the one saying, no, just wait 4 months and keep your bonus. Anyway, but I'm glad he did what he did. Very proud of Stu. Stu's an awesome guy, and I really appreciate him putting us on. I don't think you guys know how difficult it is to arrange a group like this. And his heart is to help all of you here. As mine, I'm here to help you. I don't know if I can, but anything.
He can't.
Anything you have questions on, I'd love to help you. And
make sure you get some time with Adam if you haven't already.
So anyway, getting back to Gord's Garage.
Your dad came up with the original.
Yeah, so my dad just to kind of set the I guess not tone. Well, tone. My dad is born and raised in Logan, Utah, and he lived in Hiram till 8th grade, and then his family moved to Star Valley, Wyoming. Just a good farm guy. When he moved to Star Valley, he worked on a dairy. If anyone's worked on a dairy or heard stories about dairies, I'd rather move pipe than do a dairy. But anyway, so he's just a super hard worker. Humble guy, just down to earth, someone you could trust the minute you meet him. And my dad's probably my favorite person, and I hear Stu talk about his dad as one of his favorite people. So I have, I can relate to Stu a lot. I love my dad. I wouldn't be where I am without him. So, and this is where I knew I'd cry a little bit. Anyway, so.
Feelings suck sometimes, don't they? Just
a mouse strike.
Devin doesn't have this same thing. It never happens to me.
He's so tough. So anyway, my dad, when I was a junior, senior in high school, my parents had 5 kids, and when you have a lot of kids, you have a lot of crap. Just all this junk in the garage, skis, tons of bikes, just you name it. Well, he put himself into college. He worked on horse trailers, so he learned how to weld young and always developed that skill. And he taught me and my brother. So anyway, he did what he knew best. I'm going to design a system that can organize all this stuff off the floor and then get long-term storage, like Christmas boxes, all this stuff that maybe my mom wanted stored in his space, the garage. And he was just tired of it. So he kind of invented this shelf, a shelf that's probably been around, I don't know, 200 years. I mean, shelves have been around forever. But anyway, he invented this shelf to be able to hang and organize below, and you could rearrange things based on whatever your needs are or seasonality. Even a simple shelf that took up space up high that you didn't utilize. Anyway, never planned on selling it. He just always was fixing people's trailers, doing stuff like that. Long story short, when I was serving a mission, he was asked to move his family, which we'd already moved from Mesa, Arizona to Seattle to Boise. And they wanted him to move either to Salt Lake or Denver. So anyway, he didn't want to do it. And my mom, out of all the people around him, said, that shelving stuff you've made, what if you try and sell that and just start your own thing? And even he was kind of like, sell shelving? Like who wants my shelving and stuff?
Oh, that's so cool, dude. I love that your mom stepped in.
My mom was the one that kind of like urged him to do it. I was on my mission and kind of got letters here and there that, my dad, who'd worked for the company for about 23 years. So he decided to listen to her. And I'm sure it was through prayer and stuff. And with the company he'd worked with, every year you worked, he received 2 weeks severance package. So he basically had a year's worth of pay by stepping away. So that kind of helped give him a runway. They also did a line of credit on their house. And I'm telling you this because not saying that you should fund your business like this, but this was one way that eventually worked out. Stu's way might be better for a lot of you because I've understood what he did, and I'm like, wow, that makes sense. But he also had a totally different plan. He kind of knew, he'd really done his research. My dad was kind of just, okay, I think I can do this. And it's funny, shortly after when this started to happen, people around him, our neighbors, saw it one day, came over and needed something for my dad and pointed out, hey, where'd you get this shelving? And this is right when my dad's about to quit. And he's like, oh, where'd you buy this? And my dad's like, oh, I made it. So anyway, that neighbor got it. And I want to say this is like in the summer. Again, I'm not home, but that neighbor a few weeks later had a summer party for 20 or 30 employees. He has a pool in his backyard, and this is in Boise. They all came over, and my dad had just installed this shelving in the garage. He didn't know that this guy was having his party and the food and stuff inside the garage and then in the backyard. So he had 20-something employees see this product that my dad installed and made a little money, whatever, and he's starting to get things going. Well, from just that, he got three more bids, and those 3 bids scheduled. So anyway, he's starting to get a little bit confident about it.
He's like, hey, this is
yeah,
gonna go.
And then my dad was in Young Men's as well, and so in summertime, and for whatever reason, they met at my dad's house before they went on this big camp out with all like most of the boys. anyway, when they were meeting, the bishop and another guy in the ward saw this stuff in my dad's garage. Like, where'd you get this? And again, he said, well, I made it, and I'm actually going to start selling it. And so they said, oh, the bishop was, he did really well. And so he just said, I want you to do every spot in my garage, So anyway, I'm telling you this because it really wasn't planned, and it got him confidence. And then he kind of developed the product. He made the machines to make the product, which is pretty impressive if you saw the machines. And if you ever invent something, usually you have to make the machine to help make the item because you can't go to anyone else to do that. So anyway, I got home. This is it'd been about 6 months. He'd been doing these jobs, and he started getting other jobs from these people. So I got home. He basically said, hey, I want you to weld, and I'll go and sell and install this. And I'll be honest, I got home, I was like, okay, I'll do this so I can earn money for college, but there's no way I'm going to work for this shelving company. And so I kind of helped my dad for a couple of years. And my dad didn't have a website. This is 2003, 2004. Google had been around a couple of years, like 3 or 4 years. So websites were starting to be a thing. So I helped him get a website built after the second year. I was also helping him with his books. And he was doubling every year. Those first 3 years, he was doubling without any marketing, without any advertising. It was literally every customer he did, they liked what he did, and they shared it with their neighbors and friends. And so,
Can you share those early year numbers?
yeah, so his first year, I think he did sales of 46,000, but his costs were like 48,000.
Oh,
Okay.
but he had a way to pay the bills. Cut them out.
Yeah, that severance I told you about. And the reason he really didn't make money is you have the additional inventory, you have some equipment and machines he was buying.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, and he had to buy a trailer so he could, use for install. I mean, just lots of stuff. Normal stuff for a small business. The next year he did like 97,000. So he had doubled, and I think he took home about 30. Okay, and this is, again, 2004, 2005. You can almost get away with surviving on 30. Now it's probably impossible, but then the next year we did 189, and it was that 96 to 189 is when I was like, huh. He still hadn't had a website. He still hadn't really done any advertising. And he'd slowly been refining the product. At that year, he probably took home about 60. Okay. So his net doubled. And again, that's what caught my eye. And I was already kind of a business. I had an uncle that I kind of watched, and he had a successful business. And I always knew I wanted to go into accounting or business. I love numbers. So anyway, watching this, and just watching my dad, I'd also get to do big installs if he couldn't do it himself. And one day he would take me and I'd help him install. But just watching what he did, I realized, okay, this is going to go. And a big reason is because of him. And I'll later share more about that. But anyway, I got more involved, and it was the next spring. I basically said, hey, and I hate to admit this, but I kind of forced him to let me take it to Salt Lake. Because I knew we needed some equipment we already picked it out. It was like $8,000. Basically a big press that could cut, bend, and punch steel faster than a drill press and a chop saw. That, and your son's forearm basically doing it all. But we knew it could do it better. It would make the product better. So anyway, and I'm telling you, it sounds simple, but that was $8,000 or $10,000 to invest in a piece of equipment. It was a lot of money. And again, we were doing this in his 2-car garage. My parents didn't have a lot, but so anyway, we took those steps, and he wasn't willing to do it. And I knew, I'm like, we can do this. Like the whole time with this company too, I was kind of the engine behind it, the drive. My dad was the idea, R&D, great salesperson. But anyway, I forced him to let me start a dealership. And I said, let me be a dealer for you and sell it in Salt Lake. And at the time, I had a mission buddy just graduating from the University of Utah. And he got a finance degree, and he went into the banking stuff, and he hated it. And he'd only been doing it for like 9 months. And he's like, what are you doing? And I told him what my dad was doing. And I said, I think I'm going to help him grow this. And anyway, I gave him the idea. I'm like, what if we brought this to Salt Lake? And so he came up to meet me and hang out. But he actually came up to see the product, me and my dad. So anyway, I convinced my dad after he left, let me take out a small loan. And
On your own account.
yeah, so it was me and my buddy.
Your dad already has a HELOC and stuff, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
needed to use your
Yeah.
own. Is that why, or why
Well,
did you choose to do your own?
I wanted to do it because I knew, okay, if I got, and again, this is so small, it's so funny because I've done other deals later that way bigger. But I remember we went into the bank, buddy. Our only assets are 2 old pickups, and we both had laptops. And we went and asked me for a
$25,000 each.
$25,000 SBA loan because we knew. I told my buddy, I'm like, if we get $10,000 in inventory, we get a trailer and tools, and then a little bit for advertising. And my dad had just done a home show. Like, again, this is when we started in April in Salt Lake. He just did a home show in March, and he had 40 leads from that show. And he had a 10x10 booth, and it was like $600. And out of that, he closed like 30 of those.
Wow, are you serious?
So, yeah. So he had very high closing rate. And again, it's because of him, who he is. But people just trust him.
Who's not a sales guy? Like, I don't think of your dad Jared as a sales guy. But
He is, but
he's good at
you
it.
wouldn't know. You wouldn't think so.
He does have a big pearly white smile. It's got that going for him.
So anyway, when he did that, I realized, okay, if he just did his first marketing thing and he got that many leads, and that I think that show brought in like 60-70 grand in like a short 6 or 8 weeks.
Wow.
So we started saying, okay, now we need to go to the home and garden show. So anyway, when he did that, I said, let me take this to Salt Lake. We immediately, again, I convinced him. We were able to get that SBA loan, which today, I sit on a board right now for SBA loans, and I've never seen one that's that small. Anyway, so we got this loan. We got the $10,000 my dad for inventory, and immediately I said, okay, now go get that machine. Like, don't wait any longer. You got an extra 10 grand right there. We're buying inventory. So our first year in business, we did 160,000 from April to the end of the year, not even a full year. And so I knew, I'm like, okay, this can go. Like, this is something. And my and I had actually got another mission buddy involved. And if they're watching, they're not sales guys. They're okay. They're decent. There's nice guys. But if they could do that, and I went down to help them too for the first little bit. I deferred from school. Anyway, that kind of taught me, like, we've got something here. Like, even though we were doing so many things by hand. I kid you not, we were watching sports or a movie, and we'd be sitting around the couch putting caps on these hooks for hours every day, every week. Anyway, just goofy stuff like that. But it was the only thing we could do to get this thing off the ground. So anyway, I went back to school, had the business in Salt Lake going with my buddies. My dad's business in Boise that I was kind of joined with him. At that same time, he had a guy in the ward who wanted to buy my dad's business for his son. He saw what my dad was doing. By this time, when we finished that year, my dad did 360,000. We doubled
This
again.
is year 4 now.
Year 4.
From 196 to
368 or something.
Okay, we're going. It's
So at this time, when he had someone interested in the Boise area, I said, this is perfect. I'm over here in Rexburg. I worked at Odell's delivering furniture, which was only and it didn't pay anything, like $6 an hour anyway. I said, Dad, if you moved over here, there's tons of guys that need work. We're in a small town. There's not many jobs available, and we could teach people how to weld. Like, that's nothing. That was the big thing, is you're cutting, punching, and welding. So anyway, he liked my idea. I said, sell to this family, sell the business, and we'll just start one here in East Idaho and move the family over here. At the time, I had three siblings at home still. And they'd been in Boise a long time. The roots were there. They loved it there. So my mom moving from Boise to Eastern Idaho was hard because it's cold here. She didn't care for it. But I knew it would be a good move for our family and also for the business. And at that time, I convinced a roommate I had to get involved with the business. And he got involved, and it was a great asset because he had a skill set that I didn't have, and he had a skill set that my dad didn't have. And I just knew there was opportunity there to help us. So anyway, we started the Eastern Idaho location. We had the Boise. We had the Salt Lake. At the same time, this is 2006. So before things got really bad, one of the guys was originally from St. George, one of those mission buddies I was telling you about. He kind of said, hey, this is going really good in Salt Lake. And the one guy was running it well, and he was helping. He's like, what if I move to St. George and start an office down there? And we'll keep the one up in Salt Lake. So he was able to borrow some money from, I believe, his parents to get another trailer and basically double the tools that we needed. And then he bought another, 10,000 in inventory at that time. So now we had like 4 locations. We're thinking we're like cool. This is cool. Like we're actually getting somewhere. We're over here in Rexburg. And then like 2007 kind of hit, and things aren't going well as far as the markets.
Started to slow
everything just started coming to a halt. At this time, I'll say corporate gorgeous garage. We looked at. We were always in limbo of the three partners. We were always in limbo of, should we continue the dealer route that we're kind of already doing? We had contracts with all these locations, or should we franchise? So, and at the time, there was a company called Premier Garage. They're based in Phoenix. They had about 40 locations. And there was another company called Garage Tech out of, I want to say New Jersey or Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania. Anyway, they were back east, and they had about 30 locations, and they were both franchising. One thing we didn't like about it, though, is the investment to buy those franchises. One of them was like $200,000, the other was $250,000, and you got a lot for it. But we just felt like the return on investment for those franchisees was crazy. I mean, we did our own numbers. Now we had some different products than they did, but I mean, your break-even point was like 2 years, is what we kind of calculated based on sales and what you're selling things for and your margins. We just thought, man, that's a pretty heavy burden for these franchisees. And again, we're still small. We don't even know what big numbers look like yet. So we're thinking, oh, that's expensive, Anyway, so fast forward another year. So we get in contact. By this time, we've kind of created a board. We reached out to a guy named Corey Smith, and we met a guy named Bob Pothier, and they kind of sat on our board and gave us direction.
Bob was the CEO of Rockford Fosgate, if you know the speaker brand,
Out of Arizona.
and Corey was like inventor of the confetti cake. When he was the brand manager for Pillsbury, he was over the confetti cake that he was the first one to develop.
And he did some big things with Heinz.
This
too.
with Heinz and Ocean Spray, those big brands he worked for. Then he took over his dad's Walgreens, or his dad's
Pharmacy.
Eastgate and Westgate Drug in Idaho Falls, and sold them to Walgreens. So that was Corey's story and Bob's
Yeah.
business.
Excellent men. Still revere both of them today and talk to them occasionally. So they sat on our board and gave us direction, and they helped us with deciding whether to go the dealer route and franchise. Because we had these other two guys that were franchised, these other two competitors, they kind of said, hey, I think franchising should be the route to go. So we looked into it. Bob actually had a contact, and he had a company. I'm not going to say the company, but that company took companies. They basically made him a franchisor and helped them franchise. So when he gave us that contact, we reached out and started working with that group. Anyway, and at that time, we took out the corporate Gorgeous Garage. We went and got an SBA loan for, I think it was around $150, based on our history and our numbers. And at this time, I think it was the first time we didn't double. I think we hit like 8 or 9, which was really cool. We didn't quite hit the million. But anyway, we got the SBA for $150. The consulting group that helps take you franchise, and back then the document was your UFOC filing document. Now it's the FDD. Anyway, it's very legal, very expensive. Anyway, it was about $100,000 to get all these documents ready so we could file with the SEC and franchise. So we pay this money, again, biggest loan we've taken out. And when we did this too, we didn't have a ton of debt. Now we did. And so, but we knew, okay, these docs are going to take a year or so to get us going. I want to say about 6 to 8 months into this, we were supposed to start getting deliverables, some of the documents to final review, and we weren't getting anything. And then the company we're working with, we were realizing they were like shrinking, like their staff. And anyway, come to find out, the owner was embezzling money, having some inappropriate relationships with one of the staff members. And the only way we found out, this has been like 8 months, and by then we were supposed to start seeing stuff. We weren't getting anything. We couldn't get a hold of people. So we were really getting nervous. The market, meantime, was just going like this. This is probably late 2007, almost 2008. And we're getting nervous. Anyway, somehow we found an old cell number of one of the past employees who'd just been let go like 2 months earlier. So we called this lady up, and we was, hey, what's going on? Can't get stuff from so-and-so, we're just not getting answers. And she's like, oh, you don't know? Like he's embezzled, like the company's basically going bust. He's got a relationship with, this other person. And she's like, you won't get anything. Like they're ready to close doors. And anyway, So when we got that, we didn't approach them yet. Then we went to an attorney, and we had hard evidence. She actually sent us emails of stuff, and went to an attorney here in Idaho Falls that we had, and thankfully, and hopefully, when you guys have your businesses, find a good attorney, someone you can trust. So we went to him thinking like, okay, we got to sue this guy and get our money back. Well, the first thing he said was, most likely you're not going to get your money. And the last thing I want to do is drag you guys into court with this guy, charge you a bunch of money, and you probably won't get anything. So I recommend you just got to walk away. And so at that time, we were literally had no money, had the most debt we'd ever had so far, barely could pay each other, ourselves. We didn't know. Now we're like questioning, okay, is franchising totally off the table? Because we just didn't know how to do it or how to get it done now. So when this was all going down, this is a fairly big deal in the franchising world. There were 6 other companies that he had taken money from. He had taken more from. Another company that you guys would know. You guys have heard of Massage Envy? They were one of the other companies involved in this mess. They were a little bit farther down the road. They had gotten some documents, but not everything. So they had to switch ship. The other 4 companies went under really fast. When this happened, there's a franchising organization, like a national. Anyway, the president heard about this, and he was from Palm Springs, had done really well. He started a bedliner spray. You guys have probably all heard of it. He had 800 franchises worldwide. Wow. He flew out privately to Rexburg to meet with us. And he came out and listened to us, saw what we had. And he's the one that said, hey, I think franchising is great, but it's not for your business. And we had already been questioning it with our competitors. He goes, no, continue the dealer route. Here's an attorney I want you to work with, and I'll pay for it. Because he felt so bad that this company had just screwed these companies. So he hooked us up with this law firm in Denver that helped us create a dealer agreement. And this is like early 2008. By April of 2008, we had sold our first real dealership. The other ones were, friends and family and different things. So anyway, I think by the end of 2008, we had added like 4 or 5 locations. So we had doubled. We went from 4 to 8. And we learned that something that was terrible. I mean, it almost cost my dad his house. We hadn't been getting paid. At the time, I was still finishing school, so I had the weirdest schedule. I'd wake up at 5. I'd go weld till 9. Then I'd go home and shower because I had class at 9:50. I'd go to class till like 1, come home, eat lunch, go back to work, and I'd weld till it got dark. And then at the same time, I started this other business with this guy.
Because why not have more to your plate, right?
Yeah, so then it was probably like 9 p.m. to like midnight, I would do the stuff with Stu. So anyway, and I tell you this because being an entrepreneur is hard. You have to put in sometimes crazy hours. You don't get a chance to be like, well, it's 5 o'clock. This then needs to be done. I'll wait till tomorrow. You couldn't do that. So anyway, long story short, we ended up growing the dealership model.
Before you go into the dealership model, because I think
Go
it's good for people to hear about how you built the dealer model, how it expanded, and what you guys did there. But talk to me about you mentioned paying each other, and I like that you put it that way because the 3 of you are owners, and you have to agree. Are we taking food from the baby, so that we can eat, or does the baby need food? And if you have 2 other partners, you don't just get to choose if you're going to take money out of the business. Everyone's got to agree it's okay to not feed the baby and to take a little money for yourselves, right? So
yeah.
Well, is that what you guys would do? Is gather around and be like, okay, what can we afford? Or did you have a small payroll that you tried to stay on? Or?
So at the time, my dad, he had a couple kids at home. He had, obviously married. We did give him a small salary, but definitely smaller than what he's used to, just to make sure he could cover his bills. I was married. I got a little bit. My other partner wasn't married yet. I think he was engaged. So he took less at that point for just a little bit.
We also managed departments at that time.
Yeah,
His wife and my wife worked together in the front desk, and they
So our wives had our income basically.
they were
really
helping
did.
us find a way to survive because rent was cheap back for us.
Yeah. And it was, sometimes ramen noodles taste good because otherwise it was nothing. So it was like, I'm serious. Like there were times where like, oh, mac and cheese or ramen. Anyway, it was bad. I can't even, I look back now and I just can't believe it. But anyway, the dealership models, we sold 4, we're up to 8. Again, the housing market's not very good. So even the individual locations aren't doing good. It was at this time, we finally felt confident to bring in a salesperson. Brought in a sales guy. His name is Reg Allen. Some of you guys, I'm mentioning it because some of you guys might even know him. The next year, I think he sold 20 locations. So we went from 8 to 20 or to 18. And that was a huge help. That was, 2009 into 2010. And then the next year he sold 24. So we're up to like 44, 40 something locations. So at this time we finally started being able to breathe.
I did not know that about Reg. That's cool to know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Reg. Reg Allen's a good dude.
And Reg is a good dude. I really love him a lot. And we wouldn't have got where we were without Reg. And he only worked for us about 4 or 5 years. Because then he went off to his own thing. And but anyway, you find good people and you put them in a good place, a good spot, and they'll shine. At the same time, though, when we were developing these dealerships, at first we were very loose, and it's because we were learning. So they had to do everything, like their own marketing stuff, their own brochures, their own website. We kind of direct them a little bit. And when you give a guy who knows how to install or sell, but he doesn't know anything about design or marketing or picture taking, that's another one. And then you let them design a website. Oh man, you've never seen websites so awful. So
Is that
anyway,
another one that I helped build or something?
no, just they're so bad. No, these were guys doing their own, in Virginia or wherever they were.
Each dealer was
Each
doing
dealer's
their
doing
own.
so.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So it was shortly after this, around 2010, we huddled together really and said, hey, we've really got to take control of the marketing and the design and the brand, especially. So we got some interns, and they helped us. Basically, I kind of copied what we did with Get Found First. Is we gotta make sure their website can perform, can get them leads. There were times when we would go sell stuff for Get Found First, Stu and I, and their website was so bad, we could drive traffic to them, but would it convert? So we faced the same thing with our dealers. We're like, okay, we got to redesign these websites so we can get them traffic. We brought some guys in from BYU, Idaho, who are interns, and they're great guys, and they've all done their own thing now. And anyway, we took over the marketing, and eventually, every dealership that came on, we owned their website, and we did all the marketing and design and photography and content, video, everything. And eventually, what happened is by 2010, 2011, the 2 franchising companies, Premier had got up to about 70 locations, and went bankrupt. Grudge Tech got up to about 55 or 60, and they went under a year after.
These are your competitors.
Yeah.
Falling down while you guys keep rising.
And what's funny is some of their franchises, when they would fail, they'd call us. Of course, we would just take the information because we wanted to hear, but we weren't going to sell them a dealership. And they saw what we were doing, and they liked it. And obviously, the cost was much less. But we were doing things these 2 guys weren't, as bringing value to the dealers.
Why did you choose not to add them as dealers, by the way? I think that's interesting. So you said these are experienced franchisees in the garage space. Why not?
So shortly there's so much to tell you. I can't even
Sure, yeah.
Shortly in the dealer model, we learned that when
Jeremy
Carlson was up here yesterday.
Crispy cones, yeah.
Vetting the right people is so important, because you get the wrong person in, they're really no help, and they hurt themselves. So we kind of learned okay, we got to stop focusing on the guys that we thought we wanted, which was guys who could install and sell, and then we've basically focused on marketing and sales. So we were bringing in the wrong guys, and we started learning stuff like that. Some of the dealers we brought on were from the industry. Maybe they had a cabinet. They did cabinets for garages, and we did shelving and flooring at the time. And when we would talk to these guys, they'd say, well, I want to carry your shelving line. I've got my own flooring, and I got my own cabinet line. Well, we didn't have cabinets. We had our own flooring line that we wanted them to use, but they just wanted our shelving. they were not ready to change their ways. They were stuck, and we didn't want guys. We actually found it was guys that were marketing guys. That's what we wanted, and guys who had no experience in the organizing industry, and guys who just wanted a good business opportunity, and then we could train them and mold them the way we wanted. Anyway, I kind of want to skip forward a lot.
Do it, yeah.
So again, we eventually grew it up to about 120 locations. We added, I don't know what year, but one thing I noticed a lot was dealers would get leads in, and they would say like, "Hey, you've got this product that can hang bikes. I just want that." Well, our dealer could sell it to them for $100, but he's not gonna drive across town, give them a bid for $100 item, and even go back to install it. There's no money in that. So anyway, it was at this time I helped develop these kits that we could sell online, that we could rebrand, and we could sell on Amazon and stuff. A cool thing with that, I remember like developing like 4 different kits, and I was telling my partners, "Hey, I think we can do this, and let's go to these third-party marketplaces." And they're kind of like, the first month we sold 1, the next month we sold 9, next month we sold like 28. It was like 50, and it grew pretty fast. Anyway, within 2 years, it was $1 million channel, and that like helped our overhead, and then anything from dealers was just bonus. So that was really cool to develop. Another thing we did, and this was through the help of one of our dealers, we built these websites, and our team was so good at getting us ranked number 1. We were sucking all the leads out of the industry. Our guys were getting more leads than they could handle. And that's honestly when we found out, hey, we got some of the wrong guys. Because they were like, well, I can't install and then also go and sell. And we're like, hire installers and just focus on sales. So anyway, everything slowly tweaked into like this model where we knew what kind of person to get. We knew what they needed to focus on and not focus on. We had guys getting over 100 leads a month, and their cost per lead was $150 for the lead, and their average sell price was $4,000. So I mean, there's lots of room to play there. So anyway, we started adding more products. We had our own cabinet line because we were getting leads for flooring in our shelving system, but people that wanted to enclose their garbage or their stuff. Some people don't want to see their stuff in the garage. When they would contact our guys, they're like, well, you don't do cabinets? Okay, well, see, and one of our dealers said, you know what, if you're not going to carry cabinets, I'm at least going to get cabinets because I know I could sell more monkey bars and more flooring and all the products if I had that. And he proved it. I mean, he was so far ahead of everyone else. He was doubling and tripling his sales quarterly and yearly that we had. I took notice big time, and I ended up becoming like best friends with this guy. He's twice my age, but I loved working and listening to him. I learned a ton, but he kind of taught me. He's like, hey, we're missing out on these leads. And also, you guys have, and he had a lot of business experience, but he said, you guys have a product that actually plays a defensive role. You can box out your competitors because you have stuff that no one else has. And then you can add these cabinets, which will basically take the ticket price from $2,000 to $4,000 to $9,000 or $10,000. And that's what it did. So now our average ticket price nearly doubled. We added the cabinet line. Shortly after that, we sourced with a company that did like the overhead racks. You guys have probably seen like Safe Racks or Strong Racks or there's
stuff up
monster
into the
racks.
ceiling.
Yeah, they hold on the ceiling and they're okay. They block light. But so we were licensed with this one company. We were selling their products. Well, that took off so fast because we had the biggest network in the industry. They couldn't keep up with us, and we kept having major problems getting supply. And I was on the phone with the owner all the time. Eventually, and all these companies had different patents on these different products. And so I went to my dad and said, here's a problem we have. And I'll just say this. If you're ever looking at designing a product or building a product, sometimes putting yourself in a box will actually help you make that product what it should be or think outside the box. So I went to him, and with this certain product, everyone in the industry was selling these 8-foot pieces. They were selling racks that were 4x8. Anyway, I just basically said, Dad, when you ship this, the shipping costs alone is what's killing all these companies, us included when we're having this company drop ship for us. We need to design this product that can be done in a much smaller box. You get what's called dimensional weight in shipping. If we can be below dimensional weight, we can kill these competitors. So basically, I want to no longer buy from this guy and develop our own overhead rack product. So I put him in a box. I basically said, you can't go around these perimeters. It's going to be this light. I mean, we basically did all kinds of weird stuff. Like I've seen seat belts that are sewn and, you know, like cargo nets and make it really tight and strong. We looked at maybe doing that because you could roll that up. You could be tight. We also looked at these fiberglass rods because you could bunch that up and then snap them in place and make a platform. So anyway, we were playing around with all kinds of different ways to do it. And we actually made a system that was much smaller, half the weight that the other ones had, but it was versatile. It was like an erector set. You could do any length and size you wanted. So we had something they didn't have. We could also ship it faster. It was lighter. It was faster to install. They had like 70 bolts. We had like 40. So anyway, I put my dad in this box and he performed just amazingly. He designed a product with me and another guy's help that was better than anything else out. But he had to go within parameters. He couldn't do certain things because it would infringe on their patent. But because of that, it actually made our product up. So when we rolled that out, like we had some of their dealers and franchises like calling us saying, "Hey, can I get your stuff?" We're like, "No, we got a guy right down the street for you." Anyway, I tell you this because sometimes like if you're designing a product, find out like what would make you stand out in the market and put yourself in a box, and then try to make something that would live in that. We found that out with that product, and it was cool to see that process, designing, and we patented it.
I love the strategic thing of like literally saying like, hey, we're looking for ways to make it hard for our competitors to be able to compete anymore.
Yeah.
Like you may think to yourself like, well, I'm one of 20 players, major players in this market, or I'm one of 200 players in this market. How can I possibly do anything that strategic that would block anyone out? But you can if you let your team do that with you. You can if you put your own parameters, your own brain to work on it, and let others do other parts of your business, right?
So yeah, oh yeah, we did so many things that I mean, part of it, I don't think our industry at the time, it's gonna sound bad, thought of it strategically like we did. Like on the website, I'll go to the web stuff. We focused on getting the website number one. Another thing we did was we tried to get so many links or articles or other things that were locally. It basically pushed all the other links off the first page. So when you Googled something in our industry in the search realm of our products, it'd pop up. It'd show their website number one. Maybe maps would show up of their location. And maybe you'd see some competitors on the map. Then the rest of the links were like articles of our dealer. So what happened is it looked like we were the only one in town. And literally any link you would click, it would basically get to our website or our dealer's website. So it like forced everyone to go to us. Another thing it did, it's gonna sound really bad, but maybe I don't know if we had. I'm sorry. We had our dealers by the balls. Hill. Here's something else. Because our marketing was so good and drove so many leads to them, they wouldn't dare leave. They wouldn't dare leave. Now, we didn't treat them like that. We didn't, strong arm. We never would. That's just not the people we were. But we knew from a defensive strategy, we had the market. Other things we did.
Because if they left you and tried to do it on their own, all of a sudden they have no leads. They're not showing up on Google.
They had to build their own site, get their own pictures, video, everything.
It's like you were doing too many things for them that they needed from you. So
we learned in the franchise dealer model, we wanted to create so much value, they would never want to leave.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do that because we cared about them. We wanted them to succeed, not because we wanted to own them.
Yeah. And they would, I think you would say, like, you joke about, like, you had them by the balls, but I would say that they would go, no, you had us by the heart. Like, we were so grateful that you were doing everything that made it so we could succeed and do so well and focus on the things of running a business that we loved. And that's why we were glad to be a franchisee and not go through the years of, are we going to make it, when you're on year 5 and still going, gosh, should we pay ourselves or not?
Yeah.
The franchisee doesn't have to do that. So by the way, if you're listening, there is more than one way to be an entrepreneur. And the hardest is to be the true founder, start up from zero, figure it out, design your own product and get going and bring it to the world. That is some of the highest paid founders in the world, but it's not the only way to be an entrepreneur. And buying a business that's already running, buying a franchise, becoming a dealer are also great ways that you can get in and do something good for the world and good for your family that allows you to be your own boss. Although in the dealer case, you kind of are their boss a little bit. You're sending them leads and they got to work with those, right? Like,
And we didn't treat them poorly at all, and there was definitely a love situation there.
but they're not leaving. You added so much value.
No, and again, strategically, we wanted that because you want to retain and keep these guys, but they would also tell you, I mean, I don't know how many of them, but most of them became millionaires. And that's cool to know that we help them.
Awesome.
So we eventually added the cabinet line, and in just 2 years, our company doubled. About a year into that, we added a software that did 3D modeling of the garage. We grew by like 50% in just a year, maybe a year and a half with that. And then we started focusing on the sales side of things. We had some defensive things that we're always thinking defensively to keep our competitor out, because in our industry, a lot of people could buy epoxy from anyone. You could make cabinets from anyone. Now, we did have the shelving stuff. We had the overhead rack stuff. We eventually got into slat wall and stuff like that. But we also had products where we could do things that no one else could. So when dealers came to training, we would teach them that. For example, storing your bicycles. You guys a lot of you have garages, you have kids. They're just laying around. You don't want to take a $500 bike and scratch a $30,000 vehicle or $80,000 vehicle. So you're like, what do I do with these bikes? They're hard to organize, hard to store. We were one of the only companies that could store your bikes in a nice, easy way that you could get down and off the ground, out of the way. You could either hang it parallel with the wall or vertical. And because we had this, and we knew none of our competitors could do that, we purposely would take our glamour shots, is what we called them, with that. And we taught our dealers, every time you go into a garage, there was 3 things that were like hard to like organize and store. It was your bicycles, number 1, golf clubs and skis, and like yard tools. And we would purposely say, and you let the pictures sell it, but just say, hey, is storing your bikes hard? Oh yeah, they're always a way. And we knew the answers, and we would just show them pictures, and we told you to just shut up, show them what we can do, and then show them, what it's going to cost to do this, because we knew if they did get a bid from someone who competed with us, they didn't have a solution for that. So again, it was like a defensive, and we've been double the cost, but we took care of one of their biggest problems. Another thing we did, this goes back to kind of the brand, or Stu talked about their your 7 was
Core values.
Core values. So we kind of had core values for the dealers. And this comes from my dad just because of who he is. So he was a big fan of Ken Blanchard's Raving Fans. Mm-hmm. So when we finally chose a guy,
great book if you've never read Raving Fans.
Yeah, great book. And the reason I bring this up is we had a secret sauce, and I think every company should have a secret sauce. And I'll share the secret sauce at the end of this. Okay. So anyway, before dealers came to training, they came to training for 5 days, and then we went to their facility or their location for 5 days once they were ready and had everything. And we would do their first installs, their first sales, maybe their first trade show with them. But one of the things we had them do is we'd send that book out once they were chosen before training, and their only homework was to read that book before they came in, because we knew if they could create raving fans, this would take off. And we taught them, the founder, Jared, that's how he did it. And he did things that caused people to rave, not about the product, about him. We did some research with some students. I want to say 4 or 5 years in. So we'd just been to Rexburg a little bit. Stu's talked about the RBDC. We used them quite a bit. They were a great resource to do little projects. One of the projects we had was we had them call our first 400 or 500 clients and ask them, just random, just calling and asking them, I think it was 3 or 4 questions. We tried to be really quick and short, but we wanted to see why they did it, if they remembered us, and
were they still happy?
we asked them who sold it to them and who installed it.
Oh, okay.
And there was a reason, because we were trying to figure out why would they recommend us, or if they did, or if they had. And from this little survey we did of literally the first 500 clients, a lot of them couldn't even remember the company. Some of them were like, oh, the yellow shelving stuff I have there. Oh, yeah. Oh, Jared Newman's the one that installed it. He's the one he came out and sold it. He came out and installed it. Yeah, he is awesome. They remembered him. They didn't care about the product. We'd ask, and then the next couple of questions were, is there anything on the product that you would change or wish you had? Oh, no, it's great. Yeah. They would rant and rave about my dad. So we gained a ton about this, learned a ton. Again, this is actually just before really the dealership started taking off. Again, I'll tell you the secret sauce later, but that helped us learn some things that we knew the competitors didn't have, because we knew something about Jared and what he taught. That was very interesting.
And you could tell the dealers, by the way, this is what we learned.
Yeah. So again, I'll tell you what the secret sauce was, and every company should have secret sauce. So anyway, we learned these things just through this market research about our customers. Okay.
Yeah.
And it brought so much value. The people reached out to Gorgeous Garage. They wanted something done. Does anyone know what they wanted? What were they seeking from us?
Who's going to yell it? I'll repeat for you, not on mic. What did they want from Monkey Bar?
What were they wanting? Organized garage. That's what they wanted. They didn't need they didn't want our products. They wanted a garage that was organized. So here's the secret sauce. We would teach our dealers this, and this is how you get raving fans. What Jared did was, when he would install the product, he would take the time to organize it. He would hang up their stuff, put their stuff up. Because what they wanted was an organized garage. He just had a product that would help do that. What our competitors did was they installed stuff and left. And the homeowner still had to do stuff. But they really wanted someone to organize their garage. So he took the time to do that. So when our dealers came to training, this is our secret sauce. Take the time to organize it. Hang it all up. Store it. And you're not going to go way detailed. Some of the stuff they may not want you to do. But when we did that, this is what happened. They would come out of the garage to write us a check or give it, pay for it. And they would see it actually done. Not just installed. That blew them away.
The reviews, half of them don't even talk about the
they
shells
love
anymore.
that.
It's like, and they even organized.
They love that. So when our dealers came to training, there's also one of the last things we taught them. Take the time to actually organize it, because that's what the client wants. They don't really want the products. We just had products that would help with that made us money and made it nice for them. But we took the time to organize it. So every company has that secret sauce. And it's what the client really wanted. They wanted an organized garage, a gorgeous garage. And so that's what we did. That was something Jared did at the very beginning. When we called and made that survey, they would all say, oh, I know who sold it or installed it. It was Jared Newman. That guy was, he hung up everything. They would tell us that. And we were like, recording, Jared, organized it for him, hung it up. That was like on almost every call. That blew them away. And we realized, hey, that's it. And my dad, again, that was something he just loved to do. So when I was doing the installs with him, again, this is bad, I would usually drive. Because when he got to that part, I was like, I don't want to sit here and hang their stuff up. I'm going to get out of here. Okay? Because I'm like
the best part of
I'm like this. I want to get stuff done. I'm again, I hate to say it, I love people too, but I'm a process person. I really want to get things done. I don't care who's in my way. And I've learned to not be like that so much. And I care about people, and I want the best for them. I really do. I want to see things get done. So anyway, when it came to that time, I was ready to ditch my dad, go home, do whatever I want to do, and he would stay an extra hour and organize her stuff. But it taught us. And then when we did the dealers, here's the cool part. We turned it into a revenue thing too. So we taught their dealers, this is how you train your guys. You say, hey, the bid has the stuff you plan to use, and you let them know, hey, I'm going to organize your stuff, and if we use more hooks or more accessories, it could slightly change. Well, a lot of times it did, and you would give a commission to that installer, which he loved. There's an extra $100 in his pocket, but you sold an extra $500. We also learned it pushed the ticket price higher, but what it also did was when a homeowner came out and didn't like the extra couple $100 on their ticket, oh, okay, well, we can take this off and set it here. They were like, no, they actually never complained because they saw what they wanted. You gave them the glamour shop. So again, it helped push sales, and maybe that's strategic, but that's how our brain thought. We thought of weird things, but it was our secret stuff.
If you want to take your startup to the moon like Adam has, then here are 3 takeaways that I've seen. 1, he said, we learned that. What that means is he took time to learn from his customers. He called over 500 customers. Are you still learning in your startup? Or are you just trying to please buy this from me, please buy this from me? Learn what they actually want and then you'll give them that. Another thing that Adam said, and it was, we had a secret sauce. You need to take away for yourselves in your business. I have homework. I got to go figure out what my secret sauce is. And then 3, go do the secret sauce. Do it. Make sure your team realizes how important it is and do it.
Be the best at that.
Yeah. And as a bonus, number 4, the founder story. Stu is in the name Stu Kent, so it made it easier for my team. But I told the team over and over again, stories sell. Stu and Kent. Kent taught Stu digital marketing. You're a professor. You can relate to Kent, right? Well, Stu got asked to go and be an adjunct faculty member. You're an adjunct faculty member. You can relate on that level with Stu. Those 2 built what they thought you needed, and I'm going to show it to you today. And I'm not here to sell you. I'm going to show you everything they've built for you. So that founder story is very powerful. There were a lot of other takeaways, and this has been amazing. Adam, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Welcome.
Go take your startups to the moon.
Thanks for joining me on Startups with Stu. We have big goals to help millions of entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed this show, please take a minute to share it with someone else that needs to hear it, or leave a review. Remember, success is within reach for those who dare to dream big and take action. Until next time, keep pushing forward on your entrepreneurial journey.